All right. Um, all right, welcome everybody. Today we've got a couple of guests from Valero. They'll be talking about what it is they do as software engineers in a enterprise setting. But before we get to that, we do have a couple of announcements and reminders. So let me go ahead and just first of all, if you haven't already signed in, go ahead and sign in. There's a link in the description. If you're a paying member, signing in gets you eligible for drawings that we're going to be doing. Also, if you have not paid your dues yet, you can do that at our website, acmutsa.org/join, or scan the QR code here. Paying members do get shirts and are eligible for those drawings again. Also, join us on social media. We're basically on everything. It's a good way to keep up to date with all of our upcoming events. We'll give you reminders and stuff out there. And join our Discord. All of the links will be in the description for all those things as well. Discord's a great place to just hang out and talk with other members, and we'll do socials on there and play some games as well. And if you have any questions, Slido, we have a link also in the description. Everything's down there. So go ahead and put your questions in there, whatever you'd like to ask of us or of our presenters, and we'll share the questions with them. So ICPC, if you guys are not familiar, kind of tell you a little bit about them every week, but they're a group that meets on Saturdays at 10 a.m. and they go over a bunch of different kinds of like data and algorithms problems, and they're the kind of things that you will likely see in technical portions of interviews. So if you want to go learn about data structures and algorithms, then that's a good place. They do workshops usually towards the beginning to teach you about them, and then practice with a variety of problems after that. Also, we've got Rowdy Creators. They will be meeting in 11 days. They meet every other Sunday, so just before our next meeting. From 3 to 5, and that's a good place to work on projects. So they need a bunch of different people of like varying skills. So if you're an artist or a business person or like a financial person, like whatever your skills you have, there's places for you to work on a team for a project over there. And even if you don't have a project, they also have they have sessions for developing ideas and brainstorming. So definitely go check out them on every other Sunday. The next one's going to be November 1st. And next, I think Trey is going to speak about some stuff.
Thank you, Chris. We have a few of our officers hosting workshops for everybody. Leah, our PR chair, myself, the executive director of Rowdy Hacks, and Gage Nichols, our social chair, will be hosting workshops in conjunction with Major League Hacking's local Hack Day, which is a week-long series of events catered to learning different workshops and different skills from technical to professional development. Our first one is going to be tomorrow at noon. It'll be on time management in the era of COVID-19. Our second one will be all about hackathons, Hackathons 101. Whether you're new to them or a seasoned veteran, come learn about how to find them, how to survive during them, and how to keep your projects moving forward. And Gage will be hosting object-oriented programming concepts in Java on Saturday, the 24th at 2 p.m. So if you're in application programming or you're familiar with Java, or a veteran and you just want to brush up on your Java concepts, check this workshop out. And all of our workshops will be hosted at zoom.rowdyhacks.org. Hope to see all of you there. Thank you, Chris. Back to you.
All right. I feel like a news anchor. Okay, so it's going to be, on Monday, this upcoming Monday, we've got Intro to Tech. The meeting this time is going to be over computer vision and using OpenCV. So computer vision, for you guys who might not know, it's basically anything having to do with getting computers to understand the visual world. Then the following week, 2 weeks from yesterday, November 3rd, we're going to have ACM-W is going to have NSA come, and they're going to talk about a day in the life of a data scientist. So that one would be interesting for all you data science people we got. And then following that, Wednesday, November 4th, Dell's going to come speak with us about digital sustainability and adaptation of autonomous systems in smart cities. And all right, with that, we're going to go ahead and turn it over to our guests at Valero Energy, Taylor and Samir.
Thank you, Chris. Taylor, you want to share that presentation?
Yeah, I'm pulling it up right now.
Leah's just hanging out with us. Hi, Leah.
Are y'all able to see the slideshow?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right, Samir, whenever you're ready.
Yep.
Yep.
Hey, good evening, everyone. This is Samir Gokhale from Valero, and I also have Taylor Riley, also from Valero, and we'll go deeper into what each of us does at Valero in a short while. I just wanted to start off by giving you an overview of Valero and what Valero does as a company. So the next couple of slides are just going to be who we are and what we do. It's a very brief overview just to get you more information on Valero. So our primary business is refining, right? So we are the largest independent refiner globally. We do have 15 refineries for petroleum. We also have one renewable diesel refinery where we basically take in fat from animal fats and cooking oil and that converted into renewable diesel. And the third aspect of the company is our ethanol plants. So we also have 14 ethanol plants where we produce ethanol, which is also used in fuel amongst other things. So we are a Fortune 500 company. We are headquartered over here right across from UTSA. And we have around 10,000 employees in US, UK, Canada, Mexico, and Peru. This one just gives you all the locations that we have. We are in business for over 40 years and just gives you a geographical locations of all our plants across the world. So at Valero, the culture is rooted in 6 key values, right? So whenever someone joins Valero and wants to know what our culture is, it's basically doing these 6 things. Being a refiner and having refineries all over the world, we do emphasize, or we do have an emphasis on safety. So safety is very high on our radar. Accountability. So everyone has a personal choice and they need to take ownership of whatever things that they are doing, right? To help achieve company goals. Third is teamwork. We know we have different functions within the company, and the company as a whole is only going to be successful if we work together as a team. Excellence goes without saying. We expect everyone that's employed over here to bring their A game every day. So excellence is expected, right? And that's what we come in every day. Deliver your best. Next thing is doing the right thing. So at any point, we're always looking at, is that the right thing to do? Not just the easy way to do it. So we want to be showcase positive examples. We are an open and honest IS organization as a whole. along with Valero. So we always try to do the right thing. And last but not least is the caring aspect of it. So we are a community-oriented organization wherein we encourage our employees to donate their time and money towards the communities that we live in. So over here in San Antonio, you would notice us sponsoring the Valero Texas Open and the Benefit for Children charity. So we raise almost 11 to 13 million dollars every year to help fund various children nonprofit organizations in and around San Antonio and all the refineries that we are located at. We also donate time to various nonprofit organizations as employees of Valero. So those are the key values that we look for and participate in every day we are at Valero. So a bit about myself. I am a manager at Valero, part of the Business Intelligence Services Group. I have been with Valero for over 8 years now. I graduated with my master's in electrical and computer science from A&M Kingsville, which is basically a very small town just south of Corpus, if you guys are not aware of it. I do handle a lot of projects related to data modeling and reporting. So some of my projects are on our SAP Business Data Warehouse platforms and also on our HANA Data Warehouse platforms. And we'll go into details as we further go down the slides. But that's my introduction, and I'll give it to Riley Taylor to talk more about him.
All right. Thanks, Samir. Hi, everyone. Like you said, I'm Taylor Riley. I'm an enterprise system development engineer here at Valero. I started in the summer of 2019 as a summer intern, and then I worked throughout my senior year of college at UTSA as an intern, as an ongoing intern. And then after graduating, I started full-time. So I've been here around a year and a half. So Samir was mentioning that we're both in the Enterprise Architecture and Development Services Department, but he's in Business Intelligence and I'm in Application Development. So a couple projects that I've worked on various projects, tons of projects actually in this year and a half. It's surprising how much you can get done, especially even through as an ongoing intern through college. But two projects I found to be really significant and kind of easy to explain is one thing I worked on was I re-architected and developed a new reconciliation process. SAP ships with this process stock, but we wanted to make it faster and more efficient. So I developed it into some application that we run as a job every night. It's super critical to us to keep our databases in sync with our SAP systems. And again, we'll talk more about SAP and that stuff in the later slides. I also worked on a web application that we call the IDM KPI dashboard. And what this is for is it allows our data security team to get important statistics about the IDM database at a glance. And it also allows them to view the tables in the database or some specific views that we built without them having to go in and manually query the database on like SQL Studio or something. In terms of personal skills that I think are useful for an enterprise developer here at Valero, the first would be communication skills, because you're going to be talking to a lot of different people and you have to be able to explain at both a high level and a low level, completely dependent on your audience. In terms of technical skills, you have to understand the fundamentals of object-oriented programming. It would also be great if you knew databases at all. I know I took databases my senior year at UTSA and it was extremely useful. And then because we're moving a lot of our applications over to web applications, it wouldn't hurt to already have the basics of web development down. Because again, we have existing applications in older web frameworks, and we do also have applications that are just in SAP, but I've noticed that a lot of our newer applications are almost always on this new web framework that, again, we're going to talk about in a little while. And then in terms of problem solving, you should be able to think critically and be able to solve problems on your own with minimal supervision. That doesn't mean that you won't be working on a team, because you very likely will. And it also doesn't mean that you can't ask questions, because we highly encourage that you ask questions, especially since everyone here is super willing and able to help you.
So just to give a brief overview on what our IS organization looks like. So if you're wondering what does IS do at a company that's not IS focused, right? We're not the Googles or the Amazons or Microsofts of the world. Our IS organization helps support and maintain a refining operation, right? It's a Valero business is refining. Valero's business is not IT. So given that, our IS organization is structured in a way where we are able to help maintain and support our primary business. So we are basically 5 functions within IS, which can be separated out as business-facing functional groups and your support services or back-end technical groups. So within a business-facing functional group, you do have commercial systems, which helps folks that are part of product supply, buying and selling of crude, or getting stuff out to the refineries and picking stuff up and selling it to the end users. So we help manage any systems related to that function. Another part is our refining systems. So our refineries have myriad versions of applications. Each refinery might have a different application at its site. All our refineries, many of them were part of buying, right? A merger. So not all refineries share a common platform. So our refining systems team is in charge of making sure all our applications work seamlessly across the board for all our refineries. Then the third piece of the puzzle for business functions is our finance and administrative services. So anything with accounting, budgeting, forecast, tax, or HR, all those functions and all those applications are supported by that team. Now, in order to help these business-facing teams deliver what the business is asking for, we have 2 functions that help them do it. One of them is our enterprise architecture and development services, which is where Taylor and I fall in. So we help deliver what the business is asking. So we talk to our commercial systems folks or refining system folks, get the requirements, and then design the product, right? It might be an interface on the front end using web UI, or it might be a report that we are developing using our business warehouse and Power BI or business objects or any of the reporting tools, right? But so that's where we follow. And then the other function is your infrastructure. So infrastructure, operations, and security is basically anything related to the network, your desktops, your phone systems, your data centers, anything and everything related to computer hardware and networking is taken care by our infrastructure team. So these 5 functions are basically what we have as IS. So if anyone's looking and thinking, hey, what does Valero IS do? This is basically what we do. We help business run the business efficiently and answer any questions that they might have related to any data that's been fed into our applications.
So I want to talk about the department that we're in again, which is Enterprise Architecture and Development Services. And one question we get asked, right, is what do enterprise developers do, especially in a category like a refinery, right? Like what he just explained in terms of like how we support our different departments throughout the IS department. So the main thing we do, which he pretty much talked about, was that we handle software architecture, development, and we support all the functional and business areas at Valero, which means that most of the time we're going to be.
Oh, did we lose him?
Yeah, it looks like we did. Give him a second. Hopefully he reconnects real quick. Uh-oh. I'd hope you come back already. All right, hold on, guys. Give us just a moment.
He's saying his computer just died. He's coming back on.
Oh, okay.
Sorry, I was on mute.
It's definitely some pretty interesting stuff.
Let me see if I can pull up the presentation while he's trying to get on.
So we do have a question while we're waiting. So they ask, what sort of applications do you create for refineries? And what sort of data is input or output with those applications?
So there are various things that a refinery needs, right? At its very core, you would have sensor data. So you would have time entry, entered sensor data at each, let's say a pump or a motor or anywhere, right? So we do capture that sensor data at its granularity, and then we do have some graphs or time-lapse graphs that we can show from a day-to-day perspective. Other applications would be from control systems. Basically, at the control center or our main control location, you would want to see what's happening at each part of the refinery. So some of our applications are geared towards that, to give them screens that help them show what's happening at any particular location. Other things are like our badging. So anyone that badges in or out of a refinery, from a safety perspective, we want to know who's in what location, because we have certain areas that are highly combustible, which are dangerous. In case anything happens, we always want to know where our folks are at all times. So some of those will be, hey, at each location, we have N number of folks in there. If someone signs out, then I know he's out of that area and is going to log in or badge in at a different location. So these are some of the things on a day-to-day basis that we give or provide to the refineries. When it comes back to headquarters, the folks looking at refinery operations have a different requirement. They're not really looking at each refinery asset at that granularity, but then the focus changes on whether they be work orders that are being worked on in the refinery, or the safety metrics, or how are the work orders being done. We have a lot of contractors, so we want to make sure that the work's getting done by the contractors. How are we interacting? Then you have different applications that allow contractors to enter time or work order details in there, which can then be accessed by other employees within the refinery. So it changes on what that request is depending on who's asking.
So I'm curious then, if you've got all this like data, like I guess particularly on the at the actual refinery level, are you doing any kind of like machine learning or like big data analytics on it?
So we looked into it. So we always want to do machine learning on some of that data sets, especially your sensor data, right? So the goal always is and will be to look at that and see if we can do that. The hurdles are basically the location of our refineries. So many of them are not in locations where you have a high-speed network where you can grab all of that sensor data and bring it in real time to be able to make certain decisions, right? So, for example, at any given refinery, you have around 10 to 12,000 sensors. Each sensor will be transmitting information depending on how it's set up. It might be every 30 seconds, every minute, or every 2 minutes, right? But many of them are less than a minute interval. So you're looking at, within a minute, you're looking at 10 to 20,000 records getting generated. And it's 24/7, right?
Yeah.
It's not, the refineries don't shut down at night. So it's 24/7. That is a huge amount of data that gets generated. And to bring it from those remote sites to somewhere where we can have that bandwidth and power to do machine learning is our biggest challenge. And when we talk about refineries, yes, some of the refineries in Houston or Corpus Christi, it's easy for us. But then as we go into the Gulf or Mississippi, or our ethanol plants in Iowa, Midwest, it's not a strong connectivity that we have over there.
Okay. I think you might be muted.
You're on mute, Taylor.
Okay, how about now?
You're good.
Yep.
Okay, sorry. Don't trust a laptop battery that isn't yours. I got a laptop that was full battery a little while ago, and they didn't give me a charger, and then it died mid through. So I have a charger now. I'm not sure what y'all talked about while I was gone, but we can. I don't know what. I don't know. Samir, what did you talk about?
I was just answering questions about refineries. So
okay.
You're good. We didn't talk anything bad about you.
Okay, good. Yeah. If anything, talk bad about this laptop. I should have brought my own. Next time I'll bring my own.
We'll talk about it when you're here. So.
So, okay, I'll back up on that, what I was talking about with development. Let me share my screen. I'm super sorry. That could have not been any worse, right?
And the good thing is you are IS, so you're able to fix it yourself.
Yeah, I had to take somebody else's charger. I went to somebody's desk and took a charger. So. Okay, sorry about that, everybody. we were getting onto the really good part about development, and then my laptop died. So we'll continue. So reiterating on what I had already talked about, what we do in our department is that we handle software architecture, development, and we support all areas, whether it be all functional and business areas at Valero, which means that we're going to design and construct highly complex solutions to solve these business and functional requirements. But not only that, we do provide our technical expertise, problem analysis, and system development services for the design and implementation of new or modified applications. I'll talk a little bit more about what I mean by modified applications on the next slide. In terms of technologies and languages, we're very SAP centric. So SAP's main language, their proprietary language, is called ABAP, which stands for Advanced Business Application Programming. It's an object-oriented language. Nobody calls it by its full name. It's always just going to be ABAP in the enterprise world. But it's a really powerful object-oriented language, especially for SAP. In terms of web frameworks, we have Webden Pro, which is an older web framework built on SAP. And then SAP's new flagship web framework, which is SAP UI5. And that's going to be, it uses like your common things like JavaScript. It uses backend things like OData. It's great. And that's what most of our new applications are going to be built in, is SAP UI5. Others, we have Java, .NET, Power BI. We use a lot of SQL and more. It just completely depends on what project that you're on. So I keep mentioning that we are SAP centric, but I want to talk about what SAP is, because it's very much something you're not going to know about unless you've been in the enterprise world. So what SAP is they are the world's largest leading software producer for the management of enterprise business processes. And the reason why that and so why they're so great and why everybody uses them is that their software suite includes a lot of integrated turnkey solutions for really common business tasks that most businesses are going to have, right? Whether it be materials management, sales, even things around human resources. And then they're also producing new products like SAP HANA. And on the next slide, Samir is going to talk a little bit more about that because he works in that. I will at some point probably work in that, but currently that's not what I'm doing. So why do we develop in SAP? Like I did just mention what makes them so great in terms of being a turnkey process, but why do we develop in SAP? So the first reason is because they understand that they cannot create a one-size-fits-all solution for every business. So they provide their customers, which would be us as Valero, with the tools to completely customize any existing SAP application or create something completely custom. And so that's what I was mentioning earlier when it came down to modifying applications instead of completely building them. So they provide a lot of that stuff I had mentioned, with Webden Pro being one of those web frameworks, and SAP UI5 being another, and then ABAP as their proprietary language, right? And then one really cool thing about SAP development is all the code is accessible, even things that SAP has developed and give us in our SAP environments. So if they've created some application that does static code analysis or something, you can go through and look exactly how they developed it and maybe even create a wrapper application around that tool. I know that that was one of my projects as an intern, is I created a wrapper application around SAP's static code analysis tool for our QA team. And then because of that reason, because all code is accessible, that includes the code that we write. So we like to write our code and we strive to make our code very reusable and maintainable, again, since everyone can have access to it. Sometimes I have to create model classes and things that other people may use. And a lot of times I'm using pre-existing model classes that we've developed over the past 10 years. So it's actually really great, especially being something that you don't really hear about too often. You don't hear too much about ABAP, but I know that after being in this environment for a year and a half, I've really enjoyed it, and I really like developing in it. So I'm going to hand it off to Samir, where he's going to talk more about SAP HANA, which is like a new emerging technology from SAP that we are starting to integrate into our business process.
Thank you, Taylor. So one of the things, or SAP HANA, HANA is nothing but a database, right? It's a high performance in-memory columnar database. So compare it to Oracle or SQL, right? Oracle's a database, SQL Server, it's a database. The only difference, or one of the primary differences, is it's in memory and it's columnar. So the way it structures the data and stores it is different than what our standard databases have in there, right? So that's where it differs. HANA has been in the market since late 2014, and Valero got it around 2016. So we do have a SAP HANA database in with us since 2016. So the way SAP is doing this is now it's re-engineering all of its applications to fit and sit on the HANA database. So when you look at any applications like our ERP applications or HR or our refining operations applications, they're redesigning those to sit and make use of the in-memory computing power of the HANA database. So right now what we have is we do have a business intelligence or business data warehouse application from SAP that sits on the HANA database. We do also have certain ERP solutions for refining and for master data management that sit on the HANA database. Now, the cool thing with this database and the way that it's geared or designed to work with the applications is you have the freedom to either design and develop your code or your application at the application level, or you can go down to the database level and create your data models. So think of it in terms of DBA, right? You might have a DBA that's generating views or creating data models on the Oracle side, but he or she won't have access to any of the applications that you might run on that database. With HANA, we are in a unique position where we, as developers, can develop something on the database itself. We can generate views and data models over there, expose them through OData onto our application there, and then leverage those to create different applications. So we can generate a data model that can be, for example, we can generate a data model that can be used to provide reporting functionalities, or at the same time be used as a data entry screen application. The same data model can be used in different formats. So that's one of the very unique features that you can do when you're using HANA as a database and the SAP application sitting on top of it. Taylor also mentioned SAP UI5, right? So it's a HTML5 based tool. So anything that you are creating at the database level, you can expose it using OData services, and those can be consumed by your application that you create using SAP UI5, right? So that's where the power of SAP HANA comes in. And now the difference is all your information or all your data is residing in memory. So if you query something, as a standard process, ideally you're querying something at the application server level. The query then goes to the database. It then goes to your disk, grabs the data, brings it into memory, does all the calculations that you're requesting out of it, brings it back to the application server and onto your screen, right? That's how your standard process would work. With HANA, what they're doing is you request something from the app server, it's going to push that query down to the database. everything is in memory. So you're not going back to the hard disk or to the disk to grab anything. Everything's in memory. You're doing all your calculations in memory and just shooting the result out to the app server. So that's where it becomes very interesting, is your transactional systems, as you're entering data, you can also report off that data in real time. So that's where we see most of our business users getting upper hand, when they are able to see real-time reporting out of that database. So that's one of the main things that SAP has, and that's what we have. Now, this isn't the only database that we have, right? So this is our primary database, and then we're upgrading our ERP systems to use HANA and get the newer applications from SAP, which is S4 HANA, onto our Valero network. Aside from HANA, we also have our standard SQL servers. We do have Oracle servers. So all our other applications, right now, our ERP system is on Oracle. So HANA, although is a big aspect of what we have in terms of databases in Valero, that's not the only one. Most of our, if not all of our applications on the refining side are on SQL servers. So again, given that we as a company have grown through mergers and acquisitions, you have different applications and different ways or different databases on which those applications run. So we do support a lot of different applications and databases. So when you're looking at IS, it's not just, yes, we are SAP centric and we do have our enterprise platform by SAP, but then we do also have these niche applications that we still have to support, which are residing on other databases. So as Taylor mentioned, it's not just SAP or ABAP or SAP UI5 that you need to have knowledge of. That's good, but we also have folks that are DBAs that have core SQL. Now with HANA at the database level, I'm generating or developing models using SQL. So although I'm using HANA as a database, which is in memory, I'm writing code in SQL. So there you go. Even though I never had experience with HANA, if I have a background of SQL, if my coursework included SQL programming, I am well versed and be able to switch to HANA for development, right? So that's one of the, I would say, interesting aspects of IS, wherein you can still use your knowledge from one platform and still be able to perform in any other given platform. Because as long as your concepts are good, you're still going to be able to code it and make sure that your development model or your model works in any environment.
All right, thank you, Samir, for explaining that, because that still is a hard topic for me, but it's very interesting, since I know that a lot of the stuff that I'm going to be working on at some point will use the HANA database. I know that we've kind of already played around with it in terms of getting stuff from our SQL databases a little quicker, but in what I'm working on, we're not quite there yet. But it's still really cool technology, and it'll be exciting once we can have access to it and instantly get results for certain sets of data.
Yeah, so as an example, Taylor, I'm getting your identity management data into
okay.
So I'm grabbing data from you and bringing it into my data model because I want it, right? So it's not just if you have it in HANA, then you're using it. We also have links called Smart Data Access links, which are basically connections to different databases. So at any given point, I'm connecting to his database that he's working on, which is Identity Master or IDM, grabbing data that I need for my reporting application. I'm also getting data from refinery applications and so on and so forth. So it's it's interconnected.
So if anybody's interested in a position here, whether it's functional or development, we have both internships and entry-level positions open. So for entry-level positions, you will have to be graduating anytime before the summer of 2021 or during the summer of 2021. So if you meet that criteria and you are interested, and especially since we're so local, we're literally across the street, that was super convenient for me during my internship. I have some steps here on how to apply. So first, submit your resume and cover letter to our recruiting email, so isrecruiting@valero.com. Make sure the subject is Rowdy Recruitment Session 2020. You are required to submit a formal application on our website. I'll show you how to get there in just a minute, but that is definitely required. You can't just send us an email of your resume. If you are selected, you will be brought in for an on-campus interview, which also depends on your position. You'll hear more about that again if you are selected. And then if you do receive an offer, you're going to hear about that offer over the phone. You'll also get an email about it. And then if you accept, we're going to send you everything else you need to know via email for pre-employment, benefits, and so on. So if anyone has any questions about our business or again, what we do or what we have worked on, please feel free to ask. But that's pretty much all we have.
I have a question here. Do you use SAP's visualization tools, or is that where a web dev background comes in?
So well, we do have both. So we do have business objects, which is a SAP visualization application that we utilize. So we do have some standard reports or reports that we generate out of business objects. We also have Microsoft Power BI as a visualization tool. So we do create dashboards and KPI metrics using Power BI. So we can use data from SAP in there. We can also use Excel spreadsheets or other databases that we can connect to, merge the data, massage the data, and create dashboards using Power BI. The third aspect is your SAP UI5 development. So you could also have KPIs and graphs being generated on the application itself using SAP UI5 code.
Okay, cool. Another question just came in. Will next year's internship cohort be virtual or in person?
So even this year, our interns did come in person. So when everything got shut down, we went home. But Valero took steps to properly safeguard their employees and anyone that's coming onto campus. And once they felt that it was comfortable and safe enough for everyone to return, we came back in a phased manner, right? And we had interns that came in and worked with us on campus in person during their internships. And the feedback that we received was actually really good from the interns, because it's always better to get or share knowledge, especially when you're intern, in person. Virtually, it's always not possible to get to know the folks. Virtually, you might only be limited to the team that you're in. But when you're in the office, as an intern, you have so many doors open to you. You can talk to anyone with an IS. We have an open door policy. So it's not like if you're an intern with enterprise development team, you can't go and talk to our commercial team or our refining team. It's actually helpful if you do go talk to them, right? Whether it be related to your project or not is a different matter altogether. It's just the interaction and the business knowledge that you gain and the experience that you get looking at the different functions and interacting with those is an invaluable lesson. So we do have in-person internships, or we did have it even this year. And going forward, we don't see it's been all virtual unless something changes drastically, right? Our entire workforce is on campus. All of us come to the office every day. We do practice social distancing. Our meeting rooms are half capacity. We wear masks when we step out of our cubes, but all of us have 8x8 cubicles. So we are socially distanced from everyone when we are at our desk. If someone comes to our desks, all of us, whoever's in coming to our desk and we at our desk wear masks. So we are very vigilant in how we behave, and we do understand keeping yourself safe also keeps everyone safe, right? So that's where we are at Valero.
Okay. Yeah. No. I've definitely heard. That it's very different being virtual, and so it's good to see that you guys had a way of bringing everybody still in person. So I was wondering personally, how important do you see like coursework that like we have a course for object-oriented programming specifically, seeing as it sounds like you're working on a lot of object-oriented systems, like with the SAP language. Do you think that taking a course specifically to like kind of understand those concepts is really important?
Yeah, certainly. I think so, because again, everything we do is object-oriented, and I think that anyone applying for an enterprise development job specifically, so like my position, which is enterprise system development engineer, I think they're going to expect you to know object-oriented languages in general, not SAP's proprietary one, of course. So I think it would be very helpful. Same thing with databases. I know I took it with Clark and it was great. I thought it was great. And then another class, surprisingly, that I thought was really helpful was software quality assurance. I don't remember the actual full name for it, but at the time as an intern, I was working on a lot of QA stuff for our QA team, and it went hand in hand. It was a really great class, and it was challenging at times, but a lot of stuff I learned there, I applied immediately to Valero because, we have change management and we have to go through QA and to move up to the different systems and such. So yeah, I would say that taking an object-oriented class for an enterprise system development engineer would be important. Now, for other pieces of IS, it just depends, right? It depends what position you're applying for. And even the listing for our entry-level position right now, it mentions that. It says like, ABAP and Java and object-oriented and things like that. So I would say it's pretty useful. Mm-hmm.
And for anybody wondering, somebody did post in chat that class is called Software Validation and Quality Assurance.
Yeah, I enjoyed that class a lot.
Good to know. Good to know. All right. So does any last minute questions? All right. Well, then I'm going to go ahead and say, thank you guys for coming. Very interesting talk, and I'm glad we got to, learn more about Valero. Definitely a lot of stuff I didn't know about you guys, and I didn't realize how extensive the IS department was.
Yeah, I think that's the thing that's surprising about us, because even I didn't know when I first applied. But our IS department is huge. We have a whole building dedicated for IS related things. One thing I do want to show real quick, I said I would mention just how to get to the area to apply for the position. So just go to valero.com and then go to careers, university recruiting.
And we can only see your slides right now.
Oh, geez, sorry about that. Okay, let's see. Let's just do the screen this time. Okay, can you see it now?
Yeah.
Okay, so valero.com, and then go under careers, university recruiting, programs, and then there's going to be view intern and co-op opportunities on the left, the orange button. And then here is where you'll be able to apply for internships and full-time positions and read about what the position entails and such. So.
Cool. Yeah. Easy enough.
Yep, easy enough.
All right. Well, thank you guys once again. We got a whole bunch of people in chat, thanking you guys. Very, very informative session. So
awesome. Well,
thank you for inviting us and giving us the opportunity.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you for inviting us, and we hope that more people are interested in enterprise development. It's like a little secret piece that people don't really think about, right? But it's fun and it's rewarding to develop for a business process. You don't always have to be developing for a consumer fronted based company. So,
All right, thank you.
Thank you, guys.
All right, could you stop your screen share? I got one last thing to share for these guys. Move this screen. So lastly, if you guys have any feedback that you'd like to give, positive or negative, we would love if you would open up this this link here. You can scan this QR code, fill out the form, and let us know how we did, and help us improve and keep the quality up for all of our meetings. But, thank you once again, one last time from Valero, and I hope you guys have a great day, and hope to talk to you guys soon.
all right, thanks.
Zach.